Welcome to episode 55 of the Face of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy Shan.
That's your boy St. Martin Moose. What's the vibe?
That boy back in St. Martin got the views behind him. You know what I'm saying? You look like you got like a painting behind you, bro.
Yeah, dude, like you're from a green screen.
Yeah, this shit is crazy.
That boy in life.
Crazy. What's good with y'all, yo?
Chilling, man. Can't complain. Back out east, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, I feel
Being
it.
out west for a little bit. I wish I was out there longer. You know what I'm saying? But
let's go out there, yo. Like,
it's
a pandemic outside.
Nah, I feel you, but I just saying it was a change of scene, like the vibe. You feel me? It was just a little. Like it was way sunnier out there. You feel me? It was just. I mean, the weather was a little warmer, but I mean, the weather's starting to break anyway out here. So
yeah, need that.
Yeah, you can feel that. I mean, is it just me or y'all can feel like the energy changing a little bit?
Oh yeah,
the energy's
a little
changing.
More excited because like restrictions are slowly getting let up, and they're starting to allow people to do more and more stuff, which is expected. I mean, how y'all feel about the weather breaking?
You know, I can't wait for it to get warmer for me to go to the beach. You know, and like me, like I like riding with the windows down. You know, everybody started riding around with their windows down. You know what I'm saying? You could definitely feel the energy and the vibe. Everybody is like in a much lighter mood.
Yeah, but you know, niggas are gonna start getting aggressive too. The girls are gonna start getting aggressive. They're gonna start wearing sundresses. The liquor gonna come out. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm staying inside, especially because Philly a war zone.
Shan, how often you gonna be at the beach this year? I know you was out there a lot last year. You try to double up this year even more?
Last year I was literally out there every single weekend. So I mean, it'll probably be the same vibes this summer.
I feel it. I can't
every weekend I'll be down there.
Every weekend, because you're closer now, so it's like it's right there. So
I'm only an hour away from the beach, so if that, you know what I mean.
And the beach you go to, I'm gonna be there too.
Yeah, shout out to Deal. Shout out to Deal Beach.
You know Deal Beach is a nice little vibe. But yo, let's get right into it, man. I know Tobe had a few topics he wanted to start off the pod with, so let's get right to it.
I mean, before we even get to that, I had to go back last week. So I was listening last week. I felt like I was ranting a little bit. I felt like I wasn't making the most proper sense of what I wanted to say. I went back and it was like I felt a little bit jumbled. So like we were talking about safe spaces for men. I guess the point of what I was trying to say was that like when we get into like topics of like safe spaces for men, like the shit's just really annoying to me. Because it's like I think the reality is that like I feel like guys have safe spaces. It's just for the most part when we have our safe spaces, it's not out in the open like everyone else, and it's not what people think it is. Like we have barbershops, you know what I'm saying? Where even though we don't really think of it as a safe space, it's a safe space. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we all have relationships with our barbers. We have those conversations. Like, I don't know if you saw Coming to America too, but like, or just even the original Coming to America. Coming to America, the main part was the barbershop, you know, in hood communities. We have those things. We have, obviously, when we at the homies crib, you know, when we have Intellis and stuff like that with our friends, you know, things like that, those are our safe spaces. My problem with it was not the fact, like, my problem with it is that when we have our safe spaces get attacked all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that now just the way that everything is, everybody just seems to attack whatever men feel as safe for them. Going back to the barbershop conversation, I seen some tweet where there was some guy, I think he was either trans or he was homosexual. He was like, I'm afraid to go to the barbershop and get my hair cut because I'm a trans man or like, you know, I'm not a straight man or whatever. In the back of my head, I'm just looking like, this is the type of shit where it's like, I get upset because it's like, in no barbershop have I ever been into where I've seen any types of homophobia, transphobia, anything like that. You know what I'm saying? If anything, I think people act even more welcoming because it's like, at the end of the day, they don't want to mess up their money. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think when it comes to that statement that you're saying, I don't think anybody's gonna like deter someone from coming to get a cut because of the sexual orientation or what their preference is. But when it comes to maybe the dialogue is not as welcoming, maybe depending on what shop I'm not gonna speak for because it's like White America, it's not like that. But I'm saying there's probably places that may not be as welcoming when it comes to those type of things. You feel me? Just think about, because I think about it like just based on the conversations. Let's base off the conversations you have with your homies, right? There's always probably a few people in the group that may not agree with certain sexualities, whatever it may be. You feel me? Those conversations, if you were to insert someone that was of that orientation that they didn't necessarily agree with, it wouldn't be as welcome if you think about it that way. Like, not saying that people are saying, oh, someone can't come into here, join this dialogue, or sit in this space, or your reference is a barbershop, you want to come get your haircut. But I feel as though, based on like that, I mean, maybe some spaces aren't as welcoming as maybe we see because we aren't in that predicament.
I mean, I can agree with that, but I do also think that I also still think about the conversations where it's like, okay, but it still comes back to this is still somebody's space, right? And I think that the conversation that we do need to have is like, okay, let's even say, for example, that was the case, right? How do we how do we judge, or how do we sit here and feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that I feel like there needs to be a higher level of tolerance for certain people. This is not me saying you should bash people who are who's transsexual, who are homosexual. What I am saying, if people don't agree with what you're saying, or people don't agree with certain orientations and stuff like that, I don't feel like you need to sit here and feel extremely uncomfortable. Some guys, you have to understand, like, we all grew up in an era where it's like we grew up half with the internet and half with like a validation status, and we grew up with the other half of people who don't need that, and people who aren't used to so many different things. So it's like it kind of irritates me where it's like people are like, I'm uncomfortable doing this, but it's like you may have parents that aren't even comfortable with that, but you knew this for a certain period of time. Not saying that you should be okay with that, but what I'm saying is that some people are different, and I feel like even with that conversation, I don't think people are still looking at it like that. Like, people just deem a barbershop all of a sudden it's 100% toxic, but in my experience, that's not true. In beauty shops, they talk about shit like that all the time, but they don't bring that up. You know what I mean? And it's like, so where's the balance of where it's like, are y'all just attacking men, or are y'all just trying to actually present a conversation that needs to be had? You know?
Yeah, I think I don't think you can really. Everyone has to be comfortable in their own skin. You're talking about people like being uncomfortable. Like Mill said, we don't know what it's like for someone in that predicament, like a homosexual man going into a barbershop. We know the kind of talks that going on there. It's like a bunch of alphas in there. You know what I'm saying? So it may not necessarily be easy. I think it's easier said than done, is what I'm trying to say pretty much. For it to be like, oh, you should feel fine as a homosexual or transgender man or whatever the case may be going into a barbershop. But I think for some people, it's hard for them to get past that.
I think that's another thing, because it's just like, y'all know me, I be thinking a lot, and it's just like my thoughts be always running to, okay, so where does the happy medium where both people can be comfortable with being slightly uncomfortable happen? Because it's like like, for me, it's like at a certain point, my views on whatever things go on is not going to change whatever the world is coming to. So let's even say, for example, I don't even agree with homosexuality, which isn't true, but like, if I don't agree with homosexuality, I can't sit here and not say, oh yeah, because I don't agree with homosexuality, I can't be around someone that's homosexual. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like, these are people's business on a micro level. In a macro level, who you love or who you're attracted to doesn't affect me. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't affect my bottom dollar. So that's like, that's why I say, like, it's not to sit here and say like, oh, like, you should just get over it and be okay with it. But it's like, how comfortable are you being that person? Because it's like, let's say, for example, you go to the barber shop where you see a whole bunch of men acting like that. For example, now, okay, let's say I'm a transsexual. I used to be a woman. I'm a man. I go to I go to a beauty shop, and it's the same exact toxic behavior, or it's the same conversations that are being had similarly. It's like, where do I feel comfortable at? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what the point you're trying to make. I feel as though it comes to the respect thing. I think that's where the line and the threshold is drawn, where someone becomes uncomfortable. It's like, it's okay maybe not to agree with it, or you've heard out people why they do this, why they do that, whatever it may be, and you still may not agree with it. But I think where the comfortability part comes in is when somebody starts to be disrespectful. Like, I can even bring it back to let's even go back to like high school. Like, um you're African, right? So like,
Yeah.
just people not understanding like your background, and they just making jokes, whatever it may be. It's like, one, it's okay not to understand, but when you cross that line and start making like those clicking noises, making fun of your names, all that, it becomes a disrespectful thing. And I feel like if you just transition that scenario and put it to the one we're talking about, it's the same thing. You may not understand it, but to the point when you start trying to talk down on somebody and make fun of the way they do things or whatever it may be, I feel that's where it becomes that quote unquote toxic environment. And I don't think, and then to secondly, to go to your point about the disparity between like the barbershop and the beauty shop, I mean, both places I feel like can become a toxic environment. I don't think they're initially a toxic environment. But based on conversations that obviously transpire in those environments, can come that way just based on the individuals and people that are in there. So I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I feel like I said the threshold is I think the respect factor. I feel that's where like the thresholds get broken most of the time. People think they can say any and everything, and then you don't expect somebody to react to what you say. You feel me? So because people always are looking at the person that reacts, not what caused them to react a certain way.
Right. I mean, I can imagine it's probably hard. Like if you're a homosexual man and you going into like a barbershop where people might not even think about that, you know, that sort of like respecting, like you're talking about. It's like whatever to them. So I can imagine it's very uncomfortable for someone to be in a position like that. If you're like a gay man and you hear people in the shop dropping slurs, you know what I'm saying like fag and shit like that. And like, I'll be honest, I don't want to be in a woman's beauty salon hearing the shit that they talking about, you know what I'm saying? Because that shit might not be, because they probably might be in there bashing men or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I guess for me, I guess I could say like I was a little bit privileged, or I guess I had like a good experience in all the barbershops that I've been into. You know what I mean? Like the conversations with women have never been that bad where it's like, yo, like F these bitches, da da da. Like I've never had those conversations. Like even when I was on campus, like the barbershops that we've had, like we have like what would be considered a black barbershop. All our barbers are black. Like they're all licensed cosmetologists. Never had those conversations, even when it's just guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I guess I've been blessed to have those, like to have like, I guess a healthy barbershop or whatever you want to decide it is, you know? But I mean, I guess so. But I mean, I guess my point was that like, I just felt like for me last week, I was kind of ranting a little bit, you know? I wasn't really making sense. I kind of sounded a little toxic. So, well, yeah.
But no, I get to your point before we transition to the next thing you want to talk about. When you said that you feel like spaces get invaded, like our safe spaces get invaded, other than like the barbershop, I guess, where else do you think like those spaces potentially get invaded that are quote unquote supposed to be safe for men to have certain conversations?
If you want me to be honest with you, I'm a walk on a very thin line here. I think another conversation that I think that we need to have is the conversations of what girls expect us to talk about. I think that when we just in general, let me just say in general, girls assume that we don't talk to our guys about sexual assault, domestic violence, things of that nature, right? But just like there's like this unsaid girl code that you have, there's an unsaid guy code. And it's a little bit different for girls and guys. It's like with guys, like you gonna sit here and talk to a guy about what he needs to do or if he's acting up, like, but in the end of the day, we're not gonna sit here and force him to do something. You know what I mean? Like, let's say, for example, I've talked to some of my homies, you know, about some of the things that they move and how they move. Like, not saying that they do anything wrong to women. I'm just saying in general, just how they live their life. You know what I'm saying? I can't personally sit here and force them to say, yo, my nigga, go to college. My nigga, go do this. I can't force them. All I can do is talk. You know what I'm saying? So when the conversations come up and, you know, you're friends with somebody, what ends up happening is that, like, when things happen, going to, like, let's say sexual violence, for example, one, we don't talk about how we all act in the bedroom specifically. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a conversation that every single guy has, or like how, you know, how they be spitting their game to get the girls to, you know, have sex with them. We don't have those conversations. You know what I mean? Like, because those are weird conversations to have with guys. Like, okay, yeah, like you say this, and it's like, no, we don't do that. You know what I mean? Because every guy is different how they do it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that those spaces get, because it's like, okay, if I'm not saying, hey, you're a rapist, fuck you, but it's like, just because I don't say, hey, you're a rapist, fuck you, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want to have that conversation, or we're not having that conversation. It just means that I'm having this in a different way, but I can't force another man to do what he wants or what he doesn't want to do.
So just to make sure we understand what you're saying, you're basically saying like women don't believe like those conversations are being had. Like we don't direct our peers a certain way to make sure they're not acting a certain way.
And because we don't have, and because it's not appeared that we don't have those conversations, they attack it and assume that we don't have those conversations. And I think that's 100% false.
I feel like those conversations, I mean, just to my knowledge, and because like I'm in a variety of different group chats, I feel as though some chats that I'm in that are like peers that I have friends, close friends, whatever it may be. I'm not gonna say peers, close friends. Those conversations do be had, like when certain topics come up. We'd be like, yeah, if somebody in our group would ever do something that, we wouldn't be associated with them, but we don't even move that. You saying it's like I feel like it's something that's like unsaid, but it's just like known. You feel me? Like that we don't condone certain, because we never move like that. We never, and if we see somebody like, bro, you tripping. Like there's been plenty of times where all of us are out or whatever it may be, and Shan see me and I'm gonna be like, why is such and such here? The way he acts is not how we act. You feel me? I'm vocal about stuff like that all the time. Like I don't, you know me, I don't like sugarcoat how I feel about something or the way somebody acts. And it's like, oh, if this person is gonna be around, like they got a short leash, if they start acting out, then we gotta like separate from what they got going on at that point in time. You feel me? Not saying that I'm not cool with them, I don't associate with them, but it's just like the way you move when we're in this type of setting, I can't be around. You feel me?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us do move that way. You feel me? And a lot of us are vocal, but then there's other groups that I'm in that I know for a fact that they allow they allow certain things to slide. You feel me? And like maybe I'll be like the only one who could be like, bro, that's not cool. But everybody else will be like, think it's funny or it's a joke or whatever it may be. It may not even be something serious, but it's the slightest thing that you think like, all right, if they're acting like this, I wonder what they do when no one else is around, or like how they're one-on-one with somebody else. You feel me? So it's like I feel as though when it comes to us as individuals, like Musa said, is like we can say as much as we want to say. We can prove with our actions how much we want to do. But if that said individual still moves the way they're gonna move, at the end of the day, if they're a grown man, we can't force them to do anything. We can do is separate ourselves from that, so we're not associated with them, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times in those situations where that does happen, where there might be somebody that's kind of like acting out or doing crazy stuff, and we all might check them, and you know they kind of just still out there doing a dumb shit, we all kind of just fall back because that's not us, you know. And I feel bad for the groups of friends that have friends like that don't check each other and hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's a detriment to the person as well. And like for me, why I don't want to surround myself with that kind of energy. You know what I mean? That's why I have the same group of friends that I've had for years. I don't really have any new friends that I haven't had since high school, and then pretty much that I grew up with, because of reasons like that. Because I don't be liking the way that some people be moving. I know my friends. I know y'all in my circle. I know how y'all move. I know how y'all get down. I know your morals. You know what I mean? And I think that's very important, to not just all of your friends being held accountable for yourself. You know what I mean? Because why you want to surround yourself with some energy like that or some dumb shit? But those conversations are definitely had on a regular, whether it be in the group chats or on a personal note. You know, me and Miles talk about stuff outside the group chat. You know what I'm saying? And that happens with all the guys.
That's something that I had happen to me. I was talking to a girl in school, and there was a situation that happened where, you know, like she was a victim of sexual violence. And my homies were like, yo, like it wasn't even like it wasn't even like a yo, that's lit, whatever. Like first it was a yo, be careful. Number two was my nigga, be careful. My nigga, really be careful with her. Then it was like number three, be careful. Then number four was like, yo, she's whatever. Like before we even got to whatever her history was, whatever, it was just like my nigga, be safe and be careful. Don't do anything crazy, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're like said person, because we know the guy who did it. Like we all mad cool with him. Like that was one of the first friends I made at Rutgers. And I found out, I'm like, yo, he did what? Since then, I've not talked to him since. Like I cut him off like that. Like that's not my man's. You get what I'm saying? Like I cut him off with a swiftness. He didn't even need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I just have a philosophy with girls where it's like, all right, you don't like, especially with sexual violence, like you don't need to be sexually violent with a woman, because it's like, I don't want women to look at it crazy, but it's like there's too many girls that like sex is a commodity now. Like you don't need to sit here and force yourself onto another woman when you could pay for OnlyFans. You could do all these different types of things. And for me, that's not to say that women are worth that, but it's like there are women that are willing to give you that sex. So why do you need to force yourself onto this one girl?
Ego.
For what reason? Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like
Ego's fucked
there's
up.
no need, bro. Like it's like for me, it's like, and I think I've said it on here before, it's like when it comes to girls, it's like I'm not gonna sit here and start doing a back and forth for trying to fight for a girl. Like it's not that deep. Like there's way too many women on this planet for me to be like, oh yeah, I want this one, my man's this wants this. Like, no, bro, like you can go talk to her. Like that's not my cup
That's
of
crazy
tea.
talk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't I
like
don't get that need like that point you just made up. I don't understand that either. I mean, obviously it's an ego thing, but like yeah, when you have people, women or men out here willing to all you have to do is pay them and they'll give you what you want pretty much. Why do guys feel the need to sexually assault or whatever it may be? Guys or girls feel like they need to sexually assault because it happens on both things. Obviously, it happens more guys more times than not. But
yeah.
why do people
They're
feel the need
disturbed.
yeah, like why
They're disturbed.
it never made sense to me.
A lot of people can't get over themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, a dude going for a girl and she curves him. It's like, dude feels like, how dare you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro.
Which is a crazy kind of mentality for some men out there that feel like every girl owes them something, or every girl owes them sex, or every girl should just be throwing it at him. I was having a conversation last night. I've been curved plenty times. There's no, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no shame in that. So
Nah,
what? Like when I was
happens.
single and shaking and moving, it was whatever, on to the next. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. I don't understand why a lot of guys don't have that mentality, because I don't see how, as a man, you can terrorize a woman like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like dudes get mad, stalkerish, and like forcing yourself on someone like that, I can only imagine is fucking terrifying. You know, like like having a dude that just like won't leave you alone or won't take no for an answer. Like they say, no means no. You go to a girl, she's like, yo, I'm not with it. You know what I'm saying? For whatever the case may be. All right, you keep it pushing. You don't keep going back and trying over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, but some dudes don't understand that, and it's disturbing.
That's a fact.
And
Another thing based on that, when you're talking about the saying no, like I know I said it all the time, like when you single, I'm saying you shooting your shot at different girls, you know what I'm saying, you shaking and moving. I always say the worst thing they could say is no. You feel me? You move to the next one. But when you look at the different perspective for a woman, when you put in that, the worst thing they could potentially say is no, because they don't know how the reaction is going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So like when I put in that aspect, it's like it's crazy. It's two different sides of the spectrum. Like for guys like us, who I'm saying we don't think anybody owes us nothing when it comes to that. But when it comes to a woman, and it's like sometimes I see they'll entertain someone just so they don't make the guy feel slighted because they don't know how the guy's gonna react to him. I feel like they shouldn't have to do that. It should be like if it's a no, it's a no. You feel me?
Yeah,
But sometimes
scary for girls out here.
Sometimes for a woman in that scenario, them saying no is the worst thing they could possibly say, because that chain reaction can be something crazy, and that's something wild to think about.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be that way, because when you say that shit out loud, it doesn't even make sense. You know, a female should not be afraid to say no to a man because of how he's going to react. You know what I'm saying? That shit sounds unbelievable. Yeah, it is.
And that kind of moves me to what I wanted to talk about specifically, because to relate, like there was like, I mean, Mills knows the story. Like, you know, when I got my last relationship, I was, you know, I guess I was still kind of toxic. I was trying to find ways, you know, get shorty back, even though like she was a long foregone conclusion. You know, she was so far gone, word to Drake. You know, and it became a situation where it was like, yo, like I was talking to one of my homies. You know, someone close to me, like, yo, bro, like I don't know what to do. She acted mad funny. You know, like, and he was like, yo, bro, like you ever heard this dude called like Alpha Male Strategies? I'm like, Alpha who? Alpha Male Strategies, bro. Like, you listen to him, it's gonna change your life. Yada 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 yada. Like, yo, I'm gonna send you the videos. Yada yada yada. Send me the videos. Listen to this nigga. Next, you know, like, yo, if a girl want to get back on good graces with me, she gonna have to suck a whole lot of dick to get good graces with me. And I'm looking like, I said nah. I said nah. This nigga cannot be real right now. So here I am looking at his videos.
That ain't it, Mills. That ain't it at all.
That ain't it at all.
I said this shit. I'm like, what? He said, what? So he's like, yo, if you want to do this, if you want to do this with this girl, you gotta do this, this, and this, and this. He's like, yo, bro. He was like, yo, bro, say this, and this to shorty. Sent her a message. I got the reaction that I wanted, but I didn't feel right doing it, right? I'm like, I don't like this, because it was like, Obviously I got the reaction that I wanted from her in terms of I wanted her to care, but it was like how I went about doing it, it didn't feel like me, right? So now I did a little bit more researching. Next thing you know, I'm looking at the comments like, oh yeah, like this red pill stuff is the movement, da 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 da. And I'm like, next thing you know, I'm like, the fuck is the red pill? Like the only time I know about the red pill is the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? So next thing you know, I go on, I find this community on Reddit. Bro, I've never seen no shit like this in my life. So so there's this community to all our listeners. There's this community called the Red Pill community. And basically, the red pill community is based off of the Matrix. Matrix compact, red pill, blue pill, there's like a purple pill, there's a black pill, there's a whole bunch of pills. Ideally, the whole original red pill is if you swallow the red pill, you know the truth about women, about society, and how they treat men. And so where it ended up coming to was it was this thing that was designed for guys who felt like, you know, girls have a lot of advantages in society where girls, you know, essentially get away with everything. Girls have this, all girls are manipulative, they cheat, kill, steal, destroy men, you know, because of things like the marriage statistics, just what they want in marriage, you know, the fact that they manipulate sex to get what they want, things of that nature. And I thought it was interesting because it was like it broke down into different communities, like the men go their own way movement, where men say that, you know, they refuse to be held down by societies that help women, or, you know, they're not going to be held down by women. And the incel communities, which are the involuntary celibate communities where niggas just don't get no pussy or girls just don't like them, you know? So, and I just wanted to know your thoughts, like, first and foremost, like, what do y'all think about like a community such as that, where they have guys who have this very hypersensitive, hyper masculine is a good word. Yeah, hyper masculine view of women.
Well, I mean, when it comes to that, like, I feel like you look at it at the two different spectrums. You feel me? You got you have like the feminists, like who you obviously, Toby, you are like on the opposite end of them. Like you necessarily don't see eye to eye with that group of people. I would say personally, based on like our discussions, and then you have probably like the middle people who are like they see both sides, and then you have the people all the way on the other edge, which would be the red pill group, I guess you would call it. So I mean, I'm not surprised if there's a hyper feminine community, there's obviously probably a hyper masculine community. I never heard of the red pill till you brought it up, but I'm not surprised that it exists. But based on like the different categories, I mean, I'm not surprised by that either, because I feel like there's plenty of misogynistic people that feel a certain way when it comes to women, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I read the article that you sent me, and I was like, yeah, when it comes to there was some advantage they talked about. There was one scenario they used in the article talking about a guy was in the club, and like he noticed like every time he had a section or bottles, whatever, like good looking girls would come up to him and try to drink out of his bottle, whatever, sit in his club, get in the section, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's regular. We all know that happens.
He's like, but everybody knows that's usually how it goes. You feel me?
Yeah.
He's like, let me flip the script and let me try this. I'm a good looking guy, obviously, whatever it may be, and I'm gonna go to a table of good looking girls that has the same amenities and see and go up there and ask them for a drink, beg for a drink, whatever it may be, and go sit in the section. So he went to go try it, bro. He got denied. Like they was talking down on him. Like, what are you
thirsty?
Like, yeah, like you thirsty. Like, what are you doing? Whatever it may be. So when it comes to these type of scenarios and people saying, oh, one has one advantage, one's another advantage, I feel like those type of scenarios happen all the time. But like in this specific example, I can see where they're saying that some, like, I guess women quote unquote have an advantage in that, because if one of us were to go in a club, even with the homies, bro, and we go to a section with a bunch of girls asking them to drink out of their bottles and not trying to pay for nothing, oh, you got, they'll look at you like, bro, are you a bum? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's just part of the societal standards that have been put on men, in my opinion.
Yep. Society, I think, is the perfect answer to that, because like Mil said, there's people on both sides and there's people in the middle. I'll put myself right in the middle. You know what I'm saying? I think the people that are to the far on each side are outrageous, and I can't with the ways that they be thinking, and like, because I feel like when it comes to people that are far, it's just about, at the end of the day, who's superior, being more superior than the other side.
I could agree with that.
And I think that's what a lot of it boils down to. What a lot of people's opinions boil down to, because this is, you could say women are manipulative for this and this and that. Men are also very, very manipulative. Very, very manipulative and controlling, and use their money to get what they want, whether it be from women or from to reach a certain class or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? They both
Yeah,
have
nah.
flaws, and
And
a lot of times neither one of them want to admit it.
and that's why if you notice for me, obviously, like, you know, I'm very like, you know, like, why the f do girls do this, da, 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 da? But it's like, I'm not that type of dude, because it's like, I don't believe women should have rights, women should have, but it's like, my problem comes with the extremities. Like, I don't like extreme feminism, I don't like extreme masculinity, whatever. I don't like it, because
Mhm.
what happens is that when you have too much of one thing, something else has to suffer. It's like capitalism. Like, we live in a very, very hyper capitalist society. People are suffering because of it. Now, if we move completely to a socialist society, people are still going to suffer because of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you need to find that happy medium. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, you have to, I guess, like, as Gary Vee looks at it, as like a macro micro level. On a macro level, most of this stuff, just extremities, don't work. They don't. Like, look at it. Like, let's really, what do you guys think about, let's be honest, what do you think about women nowadays in terms of them trying to find a man, or trying to find a man that they deem suitable, in terms of, just based on how this hyper feminist movement is right now? Do you think that it's harder for them based on the standards that this hyper feminism has set for them, or do you feel like it's easier for them?
I think it's harder, in my opinion. I think it's harder for them to find exactly what they want, because one, obviously I'm gonna use social media because that's the hyper focus that where all these ideologies stem from when it comes to um what people look for, or I guess we're just talking about what women look for in a man, or if we flip the script, what a man looks for in a woman is that we put, like, social media and society put these thoughts like, all right, for a man to be a real man, or to be the ideal man or whatever, he has to have this amount of money in his backyard. He got to be doing this at this certain age. You got to be doing this. But in reality, it's more like, I say, like 90% of the time, these standards that are put on men are like, bro, why does it have to be like this? We're literally, what, 25, 26, whatever it may be. It's like, why should we be at the status of like a Jay-Z or whatever it may be, when they're a very small percentage of people that succeeded at that rapid of a pace. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
if you look
value
at
that
everybody,
conversation.
you feel me? If they look at the grand scheme of things in a bigger population, like, a lot of the people are right where they're supposed to be in the grand scheme of things, but because of the way that the quote relationship goals and all this stuff has been put in our face, it's like, bro, they're expecting, like I said, 22 to 25-year-olds to be millionaires,
Yeah.
six-figure earners, sitting on jets, whatever it may be, and then all these
Yeah.
girls, and then I'll even say guys too, because we have this thought process of, all right, our girl has to look like this. If she's not getting the bag this way, then I can't rock with her. I need a girl that has it on her own. But instead, like, focusing on all the flashy stuff in front of us, and the surface level stuff, because most of the time, in my opinion, that's what it is. Like, people focusing stuff on the gram and what they see on the surface level. When you peel back some layers or meet somebody in person, whatever it may be, this shit not always together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they look more successful than what they really are. So I feel as though when it comes to the relationship conversation and finding someone that I guess you're ideally looking for in the standards, it's way, 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 way harder.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I told y'all before, I'm so glad that I'm like not single. Like, I would not want to be single in today's age, just because of mainly social media. You know, I feel like people live two different lives, you know, on the gram and then in person. And I think a lot
Like
of
single with no
relationships,
muscles.
I think a lot of relationships start over social media, and people can be somebody totally different, and then you meet them in person, and it's like, what the fuck? You're not what I imagined you to be, or everything that I kind of visualized that you would be. You know what I'm saying? So when someone like that doesn't meet your expectations, things go downhill, and then you don't, you don't know who to trust. You know what I'm saying? People are bothered by, like, oh, I see you on the gram and you look like this, but in person you look like this. You know what I'm saying? So I think dating now is hard. I think people on both sides have these extremely high standards that they themselves aren't even like necessarily qualified for. So I think that's
That's a
also
whole
another
other
issue,
conversation.
because I mean, like, I'll say for the people that are like, oh, I gotta have a man, like you said, that has bread, as this, at 6 feet tall. Like, the average American man is 5'10". So already right there, some of your expectations aren't going to be met. And like you said, especially at the age we are now, everybody don't have that shit figured out. Especially right now during this pandemic, a lot of shit has changed for a lot of people. So I
Exactly.
can't imagine how hard it is dating right now to find somebody that you find compatible. I can imagine it's very hard.
And my thing is when it comes to like relationships too, it's like I personally I find the beauty in like growing with somebody. You feel me? Like you see y'all coming together at a certain point, wherever it may be, but y'all at a certain point, you sitting there growing with that person. You helping that person grow to where they reach their goals, aspirations they're trying to get to, and they're helping you along the same way. And I feel as though, like I said, people want to come into relationships where everybody has their shit together already. And I feel as though it's like, nah, you can still have standards in what you live by and what you expect from somebody, but when it comes to these unrealistic standards, I think it's hard. It's not so much. I won't say it's not so. It's hard on us, obviously, but I think it's even gonna be harder on the people coming up younger than us. You feel me? Because that's all they know. Like Toby said in the beginning of the conversation, we were like in that transition. Like our age, we were in that transition stage. We knew what it was like to, you know what I'm saying, be outside, whatever it may be, talk to whatever it may be. But like as we got older, high school, or more so like college, we get into college, that's when social media kind of took over, and everything else is like, because there's been a couple times like where I thought somebody was this. Not even, I'm just talking about, I'm stepping away from like the relationship between girls and guys, but just like people in general interacting with somebody, and you're thinking they have all this stuff together, and then you meet them, it's like, bro, like you
ain't got shit.
cap, like you're
Flexing
cap.
with no muscles. Flexing with no muscles. Like that's the no, that's what I was going to say. It's just like, it's not even just taken away from dating from a certain point. It's like people want that validation. You know what I'm saying? People want that validation. And it's like,
they do.
just looking
really
at it,
do.
it's like, just not even from dating, just being associated with certain people. It's like, you know how many people, like, for example, just want to be associated with me just because I'm an alpha. You know what I'm saying? Or being associated with Mills because, you know, he works in music, or being associated with Shannon because he works in sports. Like, there's so many different people that just want to be associated with you because of that. And they want to have that validation where it's like, yeah, like, you know, I'm cool with this person, I'm cool with this, and I'm validated here and I'm validated here. And it doesn't work out because it's like, what do you really want to do? You know what I'm saying? And it's like going back to like just even the conversation that we have, and it's like going back for example, like look at how men and women have standards, not even just for like, actually, yeah, men and women just have standards for the other gender. It's like we have these gender standards where it's like, for girls, they want hood Jesus with a nice bank account, right? And for niggas, they want every girl with a Megan Good face and a natural Nicki Minaj body. And it's like, ideally, it's like, are you even ready for that?
Good luck finding that anyway. Good luck finding that.
And that's the next conversation I wanted to have with you guys, where it's like, because I know, like, in the, I guess you call it the manosphere, I guess what people want to call it, like in the manosphere, like there's been a lot of conversations about people that have been coming up, you know, been saying certain things, and going back to a conversation about toxic communities. It's like, I guess another person that we all know that's been on the come up is Kevin Samuels, you know, where we see Kevin Samuels, where, you know, he has a call-in show. People who don't know who Kevin Samuels is, he was an image consultant. And he basically, I guess basically from what I listened to in his interview, I guess he worked with escorts, strippers, whatever. And I guess like from that point on, he started having conversations and understanding what people wanted in relationships. And he's hosting a call-in show now on YouTube. So now
it's wild, by the way.
You think it's wild?
I think it's hilarious. I just think it's funny how just the things that he says, because he doesn't hold back. And a lot of time I feel like the women that come on his show, and even the men that come on his show, aren't ready to answer those questions because they never thought about it that deeply as he tries to take it. So that's what I find so funny about it, because it's raw, it's uncut, and you could tell some people be getting in their feelings. They like do. deep in their feelings. Like he be hitting nerves.
There was a girl. I remember there was a clubhouse room, and there was a girl who started a clubhouse room. Was like, yo, Kevin Samuels is this, that, and the third. She was like, well, to everyone who knows, I was on Kevin Samuels' show one time, and he came at me, and he's this, that, and the third, and he needs to be taken down, you know. And you're right, like they're not ready to hear that, because it's like I'm listening to her. I'm like, you sound a lot more angry than you do actually talk about Kevin Samuels. Like, you seem like you just want to sit here and kind of find a way to bash him and bring him down because of what he said. And I think that's a problem, because it's like, going back to what you said, Shane, I want your thoughts on this too, Mills. She got upset because he told you the truth about yourself. And a prime example of this was, I watched a video. There was a girl, she was a Christian woman. She said she wanted to find a husband, or find a partner. She was messing with some guy, found out the guy was married. And she was like, yeah, like I want to take him to church. She wants to do this, she wants to do that. She was like, well, did you take your last guy to church? She's like, no. Why? She didn't have a reason. Not even because of the fact that he had a wife, but just more the fact of like, she just didn't take him. She could have taken him to another church. None of that. Didn't do that. Okay. So now you're trying to find a proper man, he asked. She's like, yeah. So it's like, why don't you ask your pastor since you want a Christian man? Well, I don't know, like this, that, but it's like, you said you wanted a Christian man, you wanted to go to church too. Yeah, I do, but why don't you ask your pastor? I just didn't. And he's like, so you're on my show asking me for advice. He said it like, you're asking me for advice, but you haven't even gone to your pastor to even ask for what you want. So it's either you don't really want it, or you're not even really trying to get what you're asking for. And she couldn't answer that. And it's like, my thought was going back to what you said, and it was like, what do you think about that? Because it's like, people do that all the time. And then when they're presented with that in their face, it's like, they don't know how to hold up.
I think it's because I got a perfect answer for that, bro. I think it's because people want what society thinks they should have. You feel me? Like, because like society tells you, oh, you should have this, this, and this, and then they gear up looking for, oh, like you, for example, she said she wants a Christian man, whatever it may be, and then she goes and Kevin Samuels like, why didn't you ask your pastor, whatever it may be, and she didn't do so because that's maybe not what she really wants deep down inside. Maybe it's a thought process in her, like it's an image that she thinks she wants, and that's a problem I think a lot of people have, is they see something. I call it eye candy, because nowadays people look at stuff and be like, oh, I want this. It's the same thing like when your parents say, oh, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Like when you were going out when you were younger, you wanted food, you want all this food. Oh, I want all this food, and you get it, you take a bite of it, and it's not really what you wanted, and now you have a whole bunch of food just sitting here that your parents wasted their bread on. You feel me? Wasted their time and money on that because you said you wanted something, but it's not really because you didn't know what it was. You feel me? So it's like, I feel like that happens a lot of times nowadays in relationships too, where people will just want, oh, I want this, this, and this because I see it, it looks good, and people think the grass is green on the other side instead of actually getting to know somebody or doing the research behind the person or taking the proper steps. They just try to fast track everything because they quote unquote think they know what they want. And I feel as though people in general nowadays people in general, period, don't know what they want until they actually are involved or actually go through something to see if they want that. You feel me? Like how are you gonna know if you want something until you experience it?
Right.
Yeah. That's my thing.
I think a lot of times, going back to what you said, Toby, is that, and what I said in the beginning, people don't think about these things. People don't even ask themselves why they are the way they are, or why they haven't done this, and that. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just want somebody to give them all the answers. But when someone gives them said answers, they don't like it. And I think a lot of times people have these standards that they want. You want a man that has and does X, Y, Z, but you're not willing to give that man what he wants in return for X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know, so I think a lot of people's standards be fucked up. And I think a lot of it has to do with social media. And like Mil said, I think a lot of it has to do with, like, I will kind of say people's morals and the way they were raised, as we were raised to be like, you don't just date somebody for what they can give you, their money or their status. You date somebody for the connection you have, what you want to build with them, how you can relate to them, how they help you deal with your issues, how they listen to you, how they give you advice. It's not just about looks and money. A lot of people get it confused on both sides of, they want this trophy wife or this trophy husband. Just like everybody say, oh, look at his wife, she bad. Oh, look at her man, he look good. You know what I'm saying? What kind of relationship is that? That kind of shit doesn't last.
And that's what my biggest problem, because I was going to ask you what, like, y'all thought, like, that's my biggest problem with, like, the whole red pill movement in general. Like, most of these dudes are guys that aren't good with getting girls, but don't really want to go into this space, like, truly, actually, genuinely want to go and put in the work for what they want. And that's why I say, like, with girls, it's like, if a girl wants a nigga with money, I can't get mad at that. I can't, because it's like, you can't be mad at a girl saying, I want a dude who's financially stable, or he has a good job. But I'm personally, just me general, just saying, I want a girl who stays in shape. I want this girl who you know knows how to do X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? I can't be mad at a girl saying she has standards for herself versus when I have those standards myself. Now, the extent at which you want those standards, where my caveat comes in. Like, you can't say you want a 6-figure man when there's a very, very small percentage of men who actually make 6 figures. Like, the average man makes like 50, 60K. And now you're saying you want the top 10% of guys who make that money, but you're not even putting yourself in a position to get those types of guys. You get what I'm saying?
Why can't they want that though?
I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying you can't want it, right? But it goes back to what Kevin Samuels says. It's like, okay, cool. You want a 6-figure guy, all right? I'm not saying this is me, but it's like Kevin Samuels say, okay, what's your dress size? How much do you weigh? You go to the gym. You do this and this. Girls be like, no. How much do you weigh? Oh, example. Oh, okay. I don't go to the gym. I weigh 260 pounds. I'm 5'3". You know how out of shape you are? And most of those guys who make that money, it's not even about the fact of, okay, they can't spend it on a girl who may not be on their level. But if someone's not putting in the work to put themselves in the best position, why would a guy now who put in the work to put himself in the best position date somebody who's not trying to put themselves in the best position?
I feel as though,
I know I have an opinion on why I think that a lot of guys like would go for a girl that's making, let's say I'm making 300K and the girl's making 40 or 50. I feel like most guys that are making that money and dating girls like that are only doing it just because they know that they can control them, essentially.
But is it control? All right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a guy that's going to help a girl level up and show her things she's never seen before, he's going to be able to control her in some way, shape, or form, I feel.
I don't agree with that. And you're right. You're right in a sense of they would pick a girl like that. But I also do feel that in some cases it's because they don't really need the money. Like, I feel
I'm
like
not saying they would. I'm just saying, like, why would a man that's making 300K go for a girl that's making $40,000 or $50,000?
I think it
usually doesn't happen.
I think it goes back to your point though that you made earlier when you said about that connection, bro. Because think about it, like if you have somebody that's making 300K, say your girl making 50, 60, whatever it might be, like the number you have, but you really rock with her, you feel me? And that's your shorty, that's your wifey, whatever it may be, and y'all have that connection. I think that money factor doesn't come in as much as people would think it is, because if you like somebody the way you like somebody, you can't help who you love. That's how I say it all the time. You can't help who you love. If you like somebody that's making substantially less than you, then you do at the end of the day. Some people, it may be a factor, what it may be, but there's others that it won't. But when it comes to the
agree with that.
Yeah, when it comes to the control factor, I feel as though I don't necessarily mean just so they can control them. But I see what you're saying now I think about it, I see what you're saying when you're saying maybe they just want to control them, but I don't.
Saying.
Yeah, I'd say like there are some guys that like I have bread for you, I'm gonna provide for you. You don't gotta worry about nothing. I'm paying all your bills, this and that.
Yeah.
I feel like more times than not, that's not always the case. That's just my opinion.
I agree with everything y'all saying. I'm just saying most of the times that guy that's making $300,000, most of the time it doesn't date the girl that's making $50,000 or $60,000. I'm just saying it doesn't happen that often. But you're right about the connection and stuff. That's true. All that's true.
I think it does happen often for the simple fact that just based on conversations, a lot of men don't like that their girl makes more than them, bro. There's a lot of men that don't like that.
Facts.
And I don't think it's necessarily control.
Facts.
I think it's just like that. Did you say earlier the superior thing? Like they want to be superior.
Your ego.
Yeah,
ego.
Not so much that's what I was trying to get to earlier. Not so much the control factor, but more so the superiority. Like I'm the way the parents relationship. You know what I'm saying? I make the decisions. Stuff goes through me. I'm the breadwinner. You feel me? That's the way it's supposed to be.
Okay, real quick before you go, Tobe, let me ask you a question based off of what you just said. In a relationship, do you feel like it needs to be I wear the pants and you don't, or we do everything as a collective?
See,
they say when you get married, you give up the eyes for us.
Me, I think I look at it as like it needs to be a collective, bro. You have to. I say this all the time, and that's why I feel as though growth with somebody is so great, because when you start to understand them, you start to grow with them, and see how they move, whatever it be. That makes that you're married, but also that partnership that you guys have. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. That partnership it becomes a better understanding. I feel like that allows the relationship to move smoother. If it's just one person making all the decisions, I don't think stuff goes as smooth as it should be. I feel like there should be more than one input. Based on the general level. Obviously, there's little pockets where one person is going to make more decisions than the other, but I feel as though it should be a collective when it comes to getting things done. And I feel like I think it's more healthy because I feel it's less stress on one person if it's both of you guys making some type of decision?
I think that it depends on the guy. Some guys like partnership. I think that some guys also. I think to answer your question, I think that a lot of guys want to make decisions, and be the ones making decisions, not necessarily because they want to control women, but I think also it helps the relationship. Because I think that what for me, I'll be honest, I think that in a lot of cases with women, what ends up happening is that when girls stress, when ladies stress, when they're stressing about a lot of different external factors, a lot of different things, a lot of things that a guy wants from a marriage and a lot of things that guys want from a family doesn't necessarily happen. Like, for example, guys want sex, guys want a woman to be happy, make her feel like, some to make her, she wants to feel, he wants his girl to feel feminine and feel like, she could just be herself, not feel like, damn, I gotta go to work and pay these bills. I gotta go to work and do these things. I gotta go to work and do all this stuff. So in a lot of cases, like, the partnership thing works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but what ends up happening is that a lot of guys, who make that money and make the good money, in most cases, I don't want the ladies who listen to this to look at it away, but like, they don't need your money. Like, nobody's saying you can't work, but we don't need your money because I'm making this bread. Like, I want you to feel like yourself. Like, you can work if you want, but you don't have to. And so when they're in that space where girls are free to do whatever they want, women are like water. Like, they're like water. They like flow. They like to do a lot of different things that make them feel good. So when they're restricted to doing certain things, i.e. partnership, girls working 5-10 years, that's when you start to notice a girl gets a little bit, I'm tired of working. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I think that as a guy, the guys who make that much money, in some cases, I'm not saying all of them, I think that in some cases, they don't want the guys who are healthy. Let me say that. Guys who are healthy, they don't want their women to work all that time because it doesn't help the relationship the way that it should in most cases.
I think you kind of misinterpret a little bit what I'm saying. I'm not saying where it's like they necessarily need the money, whatever it may be, and they don't want their girl.
Oh, I was answering
work.
Shannon's question. Shannon's question. My bad. Yeah.
Oh, but just to follow up what you just said, then when it comes to like the partnership thing, I feel as though, like, I look at it like this: if you're in a scenario where, all right, you guys are both getting to it, like, you both have your own, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily the guy needs the girl's money, the girl doesn't need the guy's money, right? You in a healthy relationship, you guys are both getting to it on your own. You guys come together, whatever it may be. Say I lose my job, right? And everything, like, the COVID happened, and my girl doesn't work at all. And now COVID hit and I lose my job. Now everything's down the drain, right? There's no other income coming in. My bread's gone. And I'm the only resource of income that was coming in before. I feel like that's more detrimental than to a situation where you guys are both getting it on your own, right? And then something like COVID hits and one of you guys take a hit, you still got that other source of income coming in. It's not necessarily like you're depending on that person for that bread or you're controlling them, but it levels out the relationship, because at the end of the day, when you're in relationships, we all been in a relationship, all in one. So it's like when that something like that happens, it like I said, it takes a lot more stress off of one individual to try to figure something out or scramble to make something out, make a decision. Or this has to get done so we can get this bread. It's like, all right, I still got that cushion, whatever. I may not need your bread right now, but at the end of the day, you still getting on your own. So if something that's detrimental to the relationship happens, we still good until said person gets back on their feet again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely like the partnership theory of it more, because I look at it like you said, we're partners, right? So I don't want to be making every single decision on myself. I value you and your opinion. I want you to have some say as well. Let's talk about it and let's figure out what's best for us.
No,
Exactly.
I think that's true. Because I mean, I read a book called The Way of the Superior Man, and the book talks about that. Like, I think that a lot of misconceptions that guys have, and I think a lot of misconceptions that people have, is that, like, when a guy's a breadwinner, like, a woman has no say. And I think that when guys have that notion, that completely destroys anything that, like, a guy's expecting. Like, if you want sex from a girl and you just say, okay, you're only gonna listen to what I say, you're not getting no sex, you're not getting no pussy, bro. Point blank, period. Like, if you want your girl not gonna be happy. And so, like, the concept of it is that, like, one of the things he said in the book was that, like, when you make decisions, like, you don't want to do exactly what your woman says. Like, you don't want to be like, hey, babe, like, we should do this. Okay, because it could be a bad idea. But what he's trying to say is that if you want to develop, like, your inner masculine, for example, you want to put yourself in a position where when you're with a woman, when she's explaining something to you, listen, because there's always a lot of things that women see that men don't see. Because,
Exactly.
like I said, women are very much like water and they flow. They see very, very wide perspectives that we don't see. Men are can be very, very tunnel vision. No matter how we put it, men are very, very tunnel vision. So when you're dealing with a woman, you don't want to sit here and just be like, well, this is what we're doing. This is why for me, it's like when we talk about, like, say, African communities, when we talk about marriages are bad because all this is it's the man's house, he does what he wants. But it's like, this is why you're miserable. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be tunnel vision and just say, we just need to make money. Your woman can see things that you may not see as a guy all the time. And that's why, going back to the book and just understanding, like Kevin Samuels, and at the same time, it's like, you got to understand what you want. Because as a guy, specifically with Kevin Samuels, as a guy, you can't sit here and date a woman and say, yo, this is what I want to do, and this is what we're doing, whether you like it or not. But your girl has her own spot. Your girl pays all her bills. Your girl has all these different things. You still live at your mama's house. You ain't got a job. You know, you doing all these different things. You're not even finished school. So how do you sit here and expect a woman to even want to listen to you when you don't even have it for yourself? And I think that's the biggest thing that, like, a lot of things that Kevin Samuel says, people don't listen to. He's perfectly fine with whatever you want to do. If you want to go and date a certain type of woman and you want to do certain things, that's perfectly fine. But if you're expecting certain things and you have a high standard, you have to be prepped for that standard. And you have to put yourself in a position to get that.
Yeah,
you know?
your expectations have to match your actions pretty much. That's basically
Yeah,
in the grand
essentially.
and I read that book too, The Ways of Superior Men. And yeah, when they talk about the decision making, that was a chapter or a segment of the book that stuck out to me too. When I was talking about just listening to your woman and like and when it comes to decision making process, because I do agree with that 100%. Even when I was watching I Am Athlete, I Am Woman episode when they were with their girls, bro, and a lot of the women had that same sentiment. They were like, when it comes to decision making process, they see a whole bunch of stuff that we don't, because like you said, Toby, we're in tunnel vision a lot of times, just trying to focus on do what we have to do, and they see all the other stuff, all the BS that happens around us. So it's like, that's why when it goes back to like the partnership theory of making like decisions, all that, I feel as though, and I'm agreeing with Shan with that as well, is it's great to have that outside influence other than your own, because
Yeah.
me and I said that agree with them 100%, but their perspective is gonna make an impact on the decisions that you make in the long run. That could be a positive impact, obviously. So it's like it's good to have that, not just one person. All right, this is how it's gonna be. We're rocking with it this way. You got no say. Boom. Period.
And I think I think that part of it like comes down to like trust and respect. You got to be willing to trust and respect what your partner has to say. And I feel like a lot of marriages fail because they don't have that. You know what I'm saying? This person wants it this way and doesn't care about what the other person thinks. A marriage cannot last like that, at least not a happy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's what Kevin Samuels is trying to say. He's been in 2 marriages, divorced. His mom been in a marriage, divorced. And I just think that, I think he has a lot to say. I think it's interesting. I think when you take those messages to heart and you take exactly what all these dudes are saying, like the alpha male strategies, the Steph is cold, all these different dudes, and this manosphere, this red pill situation, you take what they say to heart. That's where you fuck up. And Kevin Samuels, obviously, because he's the major one, because everybody was going crazy over him because he's black and he talks about high value men. It was just interesting. I think people are just mad at him. Mm-hmm.
And just before we close the Kevin Samuels thing, and get to the song of the day, the thing that stuck out to me the most about like why I feel as though he's probably like a reputable person to listen from when it comes to like his thoughts on certain things is because he has been in 2 failed relationships, you feel me? And he knows what doesn't work. Because I feel like
Exactly.
people always want to listen to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course you want to listen to successful people, successful marriages, this is how it's gonna work, whatever it be. But he's giving you a perspective from, all right, I've been in this failed situation. I'm gonna tell you what didn't work in my end. So like now you can almost like not avoid it, but you can know like, all right, this is what you need to do, whatever it be. Because I went through this and tried this and it failed. You feel me? Obviously, some of the stuff, because I haven't listened to all his episodes, obviously some of the stuff probably is outlandish, what he says. Some of it probably for entertainment, whatever it may be. But in the grand scheme of things, and then another thing you said in the beginning about who he talked to, I guess he was talking to like escorts and strippers and stuff like that. That also, people don't realize, like, when I'm gonna use men because we're men, go to escorts, they go to them to seek something that they don't have in their relationship.
100%.
Some type of excitement, whatever it may be. So if he's talking to them, asking, all right, what do men like look for when they come to you, whatever, he has a better understanding because he's going to the people that quote unquote have all this, I call it the secrets. Cause you know what I'm saying? Like when a man goes to escort, those are his secrets getting let out because he's not fulfilled in that relationship or can't do whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was kind of interesting to see like where he gets the information from, and where people get the information from, because it's a whole different perspective than maybe we would get our resources from. You know what I'm saying? So,
and it's
honestly,
not just women that he talks to crazy. He talks to men crazy too.
Men
you
get
know
it
what
the
I'm
worst.
saying? You know what I'm saying? He gives it to it from both sides. So it's not a one-sided show by any means, because he be calling men out too.
Because he talked about that, like, because he was raised in the church. He talked about it, like, yeah, nah, I was raised in the church. I was the dude, in church, found my wife in church. It didn't work. And I agree with him, I just think people just misconstrue him, Maybe it's because he's a Kappa. I don't know.
Or because he's controversial. Anybody that's controversial is always going to have backlash.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to that Kappa thing after the song of the day. But we're gonna get to the Face of the Future song of the day, presented by Next Big Thing, Faces of the Future. Follow us on all social platforms, on Instagram, MET_the1%. I'm on Twitter, MET the Future, and subscribe to our YouTube page at MET Faces of the Future for all our updated video content. The Face of the Future song of the day comes from an artist named Hanz from his latest project. It dropped back in November. It's a hip hop album called Vagabond. That joint slaps. Toby met one of the engineers that was working on it, Audio Mac Drew, when we were up there. I saw he was a part of the project, and I recently listened to the whole project, and I rocked with it. And the song of the day is "Run It Down," joint upbeat hip hop joint. I think both of y'all like it once y'all listen to it. But once again, the Face of the Future song of the day is from Hanz, "Run It Down." Once again, that was Hanz, "Run It Down" off his latest project, Vagabond. So at the end of the last time we said Kevin Samuels was a Kappa. That brought us into that brought me into a video that I seen on Twitter of you said it was the Kappas and the Sigmas that were strolling in the video.
Yeah, there was
So grand scheme of things, fraternity doesn't matter, but the generalized conversation is when you're at a college party, a college event, whatever, and you see people strolling through the party, and someone breaks the line, like a regular civilian breaks the line. I'm asking Toby this because you're in a frat. A regular civilian breaks your line when you strolling. Does that automatically mean that it's time to rumble? Because in the video we saw, somebody broke the line, couldn't tell who it was, and the two frats just started rumbling at the HBCU.
So if it's a civilian, you could tell. Like in most cases, what's going to happen is someone who's leading the line, they're going to push the person out the way. Person going to get hit. Someone going to pull them. If they don't move, that's their ass. Now, if somebody intentionally comes in and breaks your line, you're getting pushed. I've seen it happen at my school. People will stay there, and niggas will really just like, they really will yoke you up and throw you, son, or do some wild, because it's like it's disrespectful to them.
So why do y'all think y'all run the show when y'all at a party though? You know what I'm saying? Like from outside perspective, why do you think y'all run the show?
Why
do y'all think y'all run the show? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you think that just because y'all strolling, somebody can't walk through the function? You know what I'm saying? Like, because if
you broke them through their line though,
but not intentionally though, like happens all the time, not intentionally though. I seen multiple times.
That shit was intentional in that video.
In the video though,
you talking about some regular shit.
I'm talking about regular stuff because I've seen both. I've seen intentional, where people just is beefing with each other, whether it be two frats or just regular people beefing with each other. But I've seen unintentional things escalate because someone that is not from that fraternity or college culture doesn't know what's going on, and they may just be some regular civilian with their homies, and they get into a rumbling match, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? So my question still poses to Toby: why do y'all think y'all run the whole function?
First and foremost, we don't run the whole function. When you hear a move, when you hear people dancing, when you're in front of a car, you just don't stand there and do whatever. No, if you're in front of a car and you're on the highway, you're not gonna stand there either. So you just move.
But y'all not cars on the highway.
But at the same time,
y'all are people strolling in a function that is meant for the community or the people.
But yeah, if we're at a party that's for the community, and we want to sit here and show off, that's us because we earned that.
What you mean?
What do you mean? We went through a process.
So as a regular civilian, I don't earn the right to just walk where I want to walk in a public function.
I'm not saying you can't walk where you want to walk, but it's like there's ways that you do it. There's a stroll circle. I'm gonna show it on my phone. There's a circle, right? You stroll in a circle.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, if you're trapped right here where the apple thing is, that's your own asphalt. But at a certain point, there's spaces where you can walk through. So now you can have the deltas here. You have a little bit of space here. You'll have the alphas here.
Mm-hmm.
In between that little space, you can walk through right there and get to where you need to be. But if you see the deltas, you coming through here and you're going to walk through here. Not even from a standpoint of being Greek, it's just disrespectful. Imagine somebody is hosting, say someone's doing a speaking event, and you coming through your student center. Your student center is right here. The speaking events happen right here. You're not going to walk through the stage and just walk through everybody and just be like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna do what I want.
But y'all call, but see, the connotation you have it is you said you calling it the stage, bro. But y'all made it, y'all quote unquote claimed it as a stage. What if it's not the stage? Because there's been plenty of times where people you're in a crowded event, right? And all of a sudden y'all lit or whatever it may be, y'all we trying to stroll whatever. Let's start doing what y'all do. And all of a sudden that whistle, you hear that whistle blowing, you like you said, that move coming, y'all start pushing people out the way. Move, like what gives y'all
Allow me to interject. Allow me to interject. Okay. I'm gonna go and play in the middle here. So let me ask you something, Mills. I'm gonna try to break it down in a scenario that would affect you, right?
Oh, yeah, break it down.
Let's say we at CSU Pueblo.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
We on our side of the field, we go 50 and 50.
Yeah.
Let's say the other team decides they're going to enter the field, but they're going to walk through our stretching lines, through all of us, how we spread out. What you gonna do if that happens, bro? But you especially, I know you're not finna just sit there and let that shit happen, bro. You especially, you're not letting that happen.
Can I answer?
First, am I right or am I wrong?
No,
you're right.
No, let me answer. Because this scenario is not the same. You want to know why? Because there's designated areas in that there's pre-designated areas in that situation. When you're in a functional party, there's not pre-designated areas. Did you guys create those areas?
I hear what you're saying, but I'm just trying to think of how they probably look at it. Like, this is our space where we doing our shit at.
I understand that concept. If it was like that, where it's like, all right, we doing this thing, but yeah, that's one thing. But when you're in a function, right? Because I've been in plenty of functions. Where you, like I said, you hear that whistle blow or whatever it may be, and all you hear is move. There's been times I'm standing there chopping them. All you hear you feel a hand on your back, move. If I'm a regular person, because I understand, obviously I understand the fraternity, Greek life, whatever it may be, but I'm speaking from a person that may not know it. If you're in there, you're at a regular college function, like you live by Rutgers, whatever it be, and you attended a party with your homies because one of your homies goes to the school, bro, and you want to party chopping it up, we all chopping it up, and all of a sudden you feel Toby's hand push you in your back, you're not been move, and you get jolted from your drink spills, whatever. What's your first reaction gonna be?
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem.
It's gonna be a problem. But exactly. You see, the thing is, if you in a closed space,
ain't nobody finna just push me. Sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying. Nah, this is my problem.
And Toby's he's seen stuff like that happen.
This is my problem with Greeks. If you in a closed space, bro, don't start strolling. And if you're going to stroll, have one area where you strolling. Like that's where my problem. If you're outside and you outside this space, that's a completely different story. If you're in a closed space, if it's not like a giant ass hall, do not start strolling if you know it's packed and you don't even have elbow room as it is. Like most of the time, niggas be strolling. Most of the time, niggas and girls be strolling because they want shine and they want niggas to come and talk to them, or they want girls to come and talk to them. That's the only reason why they do. They want people to know I'm an alpha, or I'm a red, or I'm a Q. I'm here. You need to know I'm here. That's part of the reason why they do it. But you don't need to do it in a circle sometimes, and that be part of the problem for me.
That's all I want to know. I just want to know why when that happens, why people think they just entitled to the space. You feel me?
Shit wouldn't happen to me though.
Because I would assume that y'all take that as disrespect.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like it happened to me at my homecoming. Like I really looked at somebody that bumped into me like, yo, like I really will beat the shit out you right now. Like play with me again. Like I was drunk. I was off the Martell that whole day. Like I was bad, but it was just like on a regular day, I'm like, I'm gonna look at you, but I'm not gonna fight because once you start fighting, you ruin the party. Everybody go home, and nobody want that. Like,
let me ask you this, Tob. So, do people feel that sense of, I'm gonna call it power, because y'all get a whole sense of superpowers after you cross, because you have a whole fraternity behind you. Y'all think y'all can just act whatever, or what? You know what I'm saying? Like
some dudes really get letter courage. Like that's the thing. Like some girls really are like, yo, like I have Delta Sigma Theta on my chest, or I have A Phi on my chest. Like I can do whatever I want. I really will beat you up. Like And I know niggas that have been like that before they cross, and I know niggas that are like that after they cross, and they put niggas to sleep. Like they don't care. Like, yo, like I'm like this on the regular. I'll put you to sleep. Niggas, some niggas will really be like, yo, I'm an alpha. You're not gonna do that to me. But it's like I even look at them like, yo, bro, like I'll break you in half. Like there's no need for you to act like that. One thing you'll realize about Greeks is that Greeks get really angry when they get offline. A lot of Greeks are very impatient and very angry when they get offline. I was an angry Greek. I was a very angry Greek. Very, very angry.
I could imagine, bro. I can imagine. But no, I just had to ask the question. I had to pop because you know what I'm saying. Something came because I know one thing. I don't know if I could just let somebody just push me because I mistakenly crossed
Yeah, it's not going down. Especially if it's a mistake. Ain't nobody pushing nobody around.
Now that happened to my LB. Like our first function, we got offline. We had we have a barbecue every single year with the Sigmas. And the first year we got off, this nigga had pushed my LB. That nigga said, what? And that nigga is a gentle giant. That nigga don't be doing nothing. He said, yo, what? Nigga yoked that nigga through him. I was like, nah, this nigga is wild.
It's wild. It's wild. Nah, but that's the whole respect thing. I guess it's respect thing for what's going on. And I mean, it makes sense. Let's transition to the next thing. The conversation that Oprah had with Prince Harry and Meghan. Her last name is Markle or Markel? How do you pronounce that?
Markle.
Markle.
So my biggest thing is because I watched the snippets of it, and obviously nothing that was said in the interview was surprising to any of us when it comes to like the way the royal family treats Black people that aren't associated with them, that don't have quote unquote royal blood, whatever it may be. But my biggest question to both of you is this: why do we as a people give this family so much respect based on the history and all the cruel things that they've done in the history of time?
It's just that old mentality of never wanting things to change. You know, I didn't know that the bloodline's been going on now for 1,200 years, you know, with the royal family. And, you know, when you read about some of the stuff that you see, it's like, when I was reading an article about it yesterday as I was watching it, I'm like, what the fuck year are they living in? You know what I'm saying? Like they really living like this is some Game of Thrones, like medieval times type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's very odd. The amount of respect that the Queen has and the royal family has is unfathomable to us in this country because we don't live that way. But over there, the Queen she's top dog. You know what I mean? She's like top dog. And I just think it goes into that old mentality of never wanting things to change, wanting to keep things the same way they've always been because they think this is how things have to be in order for us to live the way that we live. It's kind of
you should see how they treat her in Africa. Like when Meghan Markle was getting married, you should see the way that my mom, my grandma, all these girls told him like, yo, like, why the fuck do we care? Like that was my reaction. I'm like, why should I care? Oh my gosh, Meghan Markle is a Black woman. She don't claim herself as Black, first of all. Second of all, we're surprised that the media is now attacking Meghan Markle, a Black woman who's married into the most worst family ever.
Most racist
the most racist family in the history of time.
Yeah, and
we're supposed to be okay with that. Like I was really looking and I was like, I don't know at what point you wanted me to feel bad for her. Like I don't feel bad.
Why would people, I didn't mean to cut you off, my fault, but I was going to lose my train of thought before I said this. But why would you, first of all, now that you brought that point up, why would people be excited for her to be in a predicament like that?
I just think people were excited for the fact that she was for a Black person marrying into the royal family. I think that's what the big deal was.
But no, I understand a Black person being more into the royal family. But when you look at the grand scheme of things and what the royal family embodies and what, like I said, if you know the history, which we all do, why would you wish that upon anybody? Like I
think they thought maybe it would bring about change, but clearly she has no chance while she's in that environment to bring about change.
I don't think
not on her own.
She wasn't even going to give out change. Like there was
it's
no
the
change.
Expectation is what I'm saying. That's why, because you think, oh, she's marrying into the royal family. She has all this clout. She's big here in the States. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But when she gets over there, it doesn't translate, and she doesn't have that same support.
There was nothing that like made me feel like Meghan Markle was gonna be some type of agent of change. It's like people, like in my opinion, people are just dumb. Like, okay, we get into a position of power, or we get into somewhat a position with white people. Then now, oh my gosh, we can change from the inside. It's like, Why is it that every single time a black person, whether black man or black woman, gets into an area where we're in a room full of white people, we assume that they have the ability to change everything? Like, you don't. And that's the reality. You mean to tell me that the people that essentially brought half of our ancestors to America, to Haiti, to all these different countries, the same people that essentially ruined half the world, that ruined our whole continent of Africa, that almost ruined China, that ruined the United States, that ruined all these different places. Essentially, you think that bringing one half black woman is going to change 1,200 years of oppression, discrimination, nonsense.
Yeah, people do. And I think it goes back to what Mill said originally about just that family having the kind of clout that they have. You know what I mean? That's what it boils down to. But the story, I mean, the interview, it's hard to watch at some points, but a lot of it didn't surprise me once I started reading into it. You know, it's weird how they call it the firm. You know what I'm saying? They call the family the firm. You know what I'm saying? I think it was the Queen's oldest son who said, "Yeah, we're not a family, we're a firm." You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of
like
weird. You know what I'm saying? That shit's kind of weird. And you know, to me, it was surprising that they even let Prince Harry marry her from the very beginning. Like they're worried about how dark their children are going to be because that's now their bloodline. So it's like it's a bunch of really, really fucked up shit that goes into the story. But I think that a lot of people just put that whole way of living in England, they put it on a pedestal, you know. So they thought and think that Meghan Markle was going to help bring about change, but it doesn't seem like it's working out too well. I mean, they took away their security. They was living at Tyler Perry's house, you know, and Prince Harry was talking about, you know, he was afraid of how was he going to protect his wife as the prince would not that royal family protection. Now he's vulnerable. You know what I'm saying?
But he got bread though. I don't want people get misconstrued.
Of course.
He still has his mom's inheritance, and that's why. And this is what made me so mad about the whole thing. We sat here, right? And this is why I was like, I'm not watching this. We sat here as Harry and Meghan lived in Tyler Perry's house. Ironically, a black woman in pain. Wow, who's she living in Tyler Perry's house? Wow, big surprise. Wow, a woman is there suffering as Harry still has millions of dollars from his mom's inheritance, right? He has no security, allegedly. And you now hire Oprah to run an interview to make you look like you guys did absolutely nothing wrong, like you didn't know anything. Harry knew what he was getting himself into originally. I'm not saying, like, obviously you knew what it was before you married Meghan. You've seen what happened to your moms. You know what I'm saying? Like, his mom is Princess Diana or something like that. I don't know all the story. Yeah, it's like you knew everything that was happening before, like, you know, you got into this. So it's like you now doing all of this. It's like, I get it, because you don't want the same thing that happened to your mom to happen to your wife, but it's like you knew what it was. On top of that, we're now sitting here trying to praise Oprah again, the same woman who hasn't interviewed Harvey Weinstein, the same woman who hasn't interviewed any of the victims from Harvey Weinstein. And I'm supposed to sit here and now listen to Meghan Markle cry crocodile tears, Harry cry crocodile tears, as she talks to Oprah. Out of all people, I would have believed it more of a Charlemagne the God doing an interview. But Oprah? No.
Yeah, I definitely found issues with that. And like from the very beginning, one of the first things Oprah said was, yeah, she has no idea the questions that I'm going to be asking. I'm like, see, already y'all starting off with the bullshit. Like already, she don't know what you about to come ask her. You put out this big interview that's going to be talking about the royal family of England. And she don't know. Yeah, she don't know what you about to ask her. Give me a fucking break, man. Like, come on. That's why I said to my girl who's watching, I said, what the fuck type of reality TV shows we about to watch?
It's some BS and like, and then I want to circle back to the point you made about people like the masses thinking like one person is infiltrating like a lineage or a long line of like business or family, but whatever it be, is going to be a super big agent of change. And that brings me to my point about how people were just bashing Jay-Z about partnering with the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, I think his name is, with Square, Twitter, and Tidal. They made it to like a partnership, whatever it may be. And they were bashing like, I thought this was supposed to be for black owned, whatever it may be, this and that.
That was
like,
never. That
Yeah,
was
that's what I'm
never
about to
his
say. And the whole
goal.
point is like people. How are people gonna speculate from the outside when they don't even know what's going on the inside? You feel me?
But then they know everything. That's why.
And those type of things are the things that rub me the wrong way. The same way that you said, like, oh, people think, oh, this one person is gonna make a change, whatever it may be. Like in the same way we didn't think, the same way that they thought Megan was gonna be that quick agent of change. How do they know that this deal that Jay-Z is made with Jack Dorsey is not gonna be some type of agent of change in the future? You know what I'm saying? Like,
You want to know? You want to know what's crazy about the whole thing about Jay-Z? People are mad at Jay-Z. Jay-Z already told you off rip that title was not supposed to be. Title was not a situation where we're supposed to be. Oh my gosh, it's black owned. Is this? It just looked black owned because Jay-Z's cool with a bunch of black artists. The whole point of title was to make it so artists got paid more. And so the idea is that we may not feel the effects of it, but the artists are now feeling the effects of it just based on how the music industry is going. We look at what not Spotify, what's the name, SoundCloud is doing. We see what Audio Mac is doing. We see what Bandcamp is doing. We see what all these different streaming services are doing now to make sure that the artists get paid. We see Patreon, where different content creators can get paid through that. We see what all these people are doing, right? We're not paying attention to it right now because we're not the common people aren't paying attention to it right now because they're not really looking at it like that. But it's going to get to a point where it's like, these are how most of these artists, how most of these content creators are going to get paid. And whether we want to look at it or not, Jay-Z saw that shit years ago.
yep.
And we just looked at it as, oh, Jay-Z has a streaming service. Jay-Z wants to do this. And it's like, no, Jay-Z's trying to make sure artists get paid and make content creators get paid. And that he essentially did it now, especially with the whole concept of like NFT now and things of that nature. I don't see where people are mad at Jay-Z because it's like you wanted Jay-Z to be, I'm for black business, I'm for this, but it's like Jay-Z already told y'all years ago, he's not a Democrat. He's not sitting here trying to help everybody. He's trying to sit here and help the people around him. And so for me, it just kind of looked dumb because it's like y'all all expected Jay-Z to be this pro-black person, even though he is, and he's done things. Don't get me wrong, he has, and he is. But where my problem comes in is that you want him to be this political figure that's supposed to lead y'all to the promised land that y'all don't even want to go to.
And he don't even want to do that.
He don't. He just want to sit
that.
back and put his money in and help out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people don't even want to go to the promised land, and they're expecting him to lead us there.
Right, it's not gonna happen. I think I look at that the same way I kind of look at like Michael Jordan's situation where people expect him to be this figure for like political shit, and he said it's just not what I'm into. I'm not into that shit. I'm into Jordan brand and making my brand bigger. I'm not into. Right. It's not to say that he's not a philanthropist and doesn't give millions of dollars to political figures because he does. He does do that, but he's not necessarily a figurehead for it, and you can't hold that against him, man.
And I feel as though that's where I feel the tide changed for Meek Mill, because I feel as though they put him in a position that he didn't want to be in or wasn't ready for. You feel me? Just based on him. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry,
now,
I didn't cut you off.
No, that's cool. And now, like, and I feel like that's a trend for a lot of people, like Jay-Z, you see Meek Mill, Michael Jordan, whatever it may be. And now people that's an expectation that people have for them in the long run. And to close that out, like Jay-Z even said, the worst thing he ever did was that unveiling of title where he had everybody on the stage, because that made that connotation, that concept that's what it was for. And people got the wrong idea for what the platform was for. But the final thing I want to talk about is a quick little sports topic before we wrap it up. Is Joel Embiid went down recently. You know what I'm saying? We had a few pods ago, we were talking about who we think was going to go to the championship, NBA Finals. Everybody was consensus Lakers was going to be. Everybody had a little disparity on who from the Eastern Conference was going to go. So now that Joel is hurt, do you think that's going to change his MVP chances and the Sixers chances of making it to the final?
It's definitely. I mean, it depends on how long he's out for it to affect his MVP. They say 2 to 3 weeks. He'll probably start out for a month and a half for them just to be safe with him. They can't win a championship without him. That's the obvious. That's like not even up for debate. They need to add another piece to their team at the trade deadline or with some buyouts. But without Joel Embiid, they're not taking down Brooklyn. I don't even know if they could take down the other top teams in the East without him, personally, because he does so much for them, and they haven't won without him.
Yeah, no, I think the Sixers will be just fine. I think the team, as presently constructed, can go to the playoffs because they're a good ass team. But Joel's gonna take them to the finals. I still have them beating Brooklyn. There's nothing that Kyrie's doing. There's nothing that KD is doing. There's nothing that James Harden is doing that's gonna make me change my mind that the Sixers are going to beat Brooklyn. Like, unless they get like a very, very good center, there's nobody on Brooklyn that's stopping Joel Embiid. And if you put KD on him, that's an even worse idea. So
KD
I
not
said,
better.
Yeah,
I've
but
been saying it.
only thing I worry
are
about
going
with
to
the Nets
finals.
is the matchups. They have so much firepower coming down the stretch. I'm not gonna say it's gonna stay here and be a wash because they got fucking Kevin Durant. They got fucking James Harden. They got three killers on offense.
And my thing
They
is
had
that
three
addition,
killers.
people say Blake Griffin is washed, but he's going to help that second unit. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely,
he's going to amplify that second unit, and that's going to be the main difference. I feel as though when it comes to that matchup, like I said, they're deep, and like you have James. If you see, because what I envision when it comes to like the rotations and stuff like that is when that second unit comes, it's going to be Blake Griffin and James Harden kicking. You feel me? All the way down to the wire, whatever it may be. But when I go back to Joel Embiid, is he's coming back in a month, but you know what, big men, their injuries be reoccurring all the time. You feel me? They'll come back and then they'll still be a little nicked, and all it takes is one little thing, and they'll be back on the bench, whatever it may be. Won't be fully healed. So my thing is with them is if they can't bring him back too soon. If they bring him back too soon, it's going to be detrimental in the long run because he won't be completely healed. I feel as though they're in a position as long as they finish 1 through 4, whatever it may be, they're solid. They should rest him as long as possible. Get him back right before the playoffs start. Get him back in the rhythm again, and then run that playoff run. But if they bring him back too soon, I don't know.
That's why I said at least a month and a half. Let him heal up as much as possible because, like you said, big men, especially like that, or prone to injuries. Because, like I always say, you're not supposed to be that size and move like that. You're just not. I think that they definitely need to stay within the top 2 seeds. I think they do, even though with COVID, I do still that they need to have some sort of home court advantage because they play better at home than on the road. So I think they need to still stay in that 1 or 2 range. We'll see if they can get it done without him because they haven't been good without him.
They haven't.
Because everything runs through him, offensively and defensively.
Everything's cool. I think that for me, I'm looking at it as like if Joel, I put it like this. I think the Sixers will be like, screw MVP. He needs to sit because we want to win a chip.
That's how they should be.
That's how it should be. I just think that like as long as they had that philosophy the whole time, I think they'll be a-okay. I think defensively, regardless of what people think, I think that they're more of a very, very bad defensive matchup for the Nets than what people think. Because I keep saying this, these niggas, the Nets, they have so much firepower, but these niggas cannot play defense. If you can hold these niggas down to under 120 points, even if it's 119. Even if it's 119.
I said 120.
Think about how crazy that statement is, though, bro.
It sounds nuts. It sounds nuts. But what I'm saying is that most teams play to 120. If you can get 120 points, bro, you will be a-okay playing the Nets. And that's
hard because you can have James, Kyrie, and KD all get 30 each. That's 90. And then you can have Joe Harris give you a couple threes. You have Jeff Green give you a couple buckets. You have Blake that's going to give you at least 10. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be very, very hard to do to keep them under 120. And I think what the Nets are doing is letting KD sit for as long as he needs to, because you could put KD in any situation without any amount of rest and he'll kick. You saw what happened after he came off that Achilles, and in the beginning of the season was just kicking. That's my biggest fear. Is KD is my biggest fear.
The Nets are very Warrior-esque. That's all I'm going to say.
Kevin Durant's a game changer.
Kevin Durant's a game changer, but I just can't respect him. You just can't.
You don't gotta respect him. He a bucket though.
I respect his talent. I think he's one of the most talented people ever, but I don't respect his rings.
That's why I think they call him Easy Money Sniper, bro.
That's fine if you respect his rings. It don't matter because he's still giving you 40.
That's why I said I respect his talent, but I can't respect him like, yo, like I got these rings. I'm fine. I don't respect him because all the teams that you have played on that you have won a ring, you've went and you've gone into a perfect situation. Like, I would respect it more if he came and it was just him and Kyrie. They still had Karis LeVert, Autumn. I'm like, you know what? I fuck with KD for that.
Oh, and Karis LeVert coming back too, huh?
Nah, he's on Indiana.
No, he's not. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I'm saying like, if they had kept everybody that they had originally and he didn't get James Harden, I'm like, you know what? I respect KD for that because they had a good team. Granted, they didn't push, but KD gave them that push. But now it's like, I don't trust James Harden in the playoffs, but it's like James Harden can lag off. You have KD. Kyrie may lag off in the playoffs. You still have KD. So it's like I don't respect it because they're still overly talented because they're going to coast through the first 2 rounds. But I keep saying this: the Sixers are going to be the niggas that are going to knock them out. I have the Sixers.
Hey, I
6.
hope so, bro. I hope so.
Sixers in 6.
I definitely hope so.
And last question, final question. Julius Randle, do you think he should be in that conversation for MVP?
Yes. Niggas
He's
playing
had a
lights
very
out.
good season. He's had a very good season.
And he's
I would put him. I put him in the top 5. I put him in the top 5.
I just want to hear your thoughts. I think he'll probably get most improved, but I think because I think it was Julian that asked that question. I was like, nah, but then I thought about it. He cared. The Knicks haven't been
this year.
Yeah, the Knicks haven't been a playoff team in God knows how long.
And he's carrying them.
He's carrying them, bro.
And one more thing, real quick, I can't wait to see Charlotte in the playoffs. Because
that boy
LaMelo,
he's a star, bro. He's a star.
That boy a problem.
He's a star, bro. Like I said, shout out LeVar. I'm gonna keep giving LeVar kudos, man, because that boy different.
Yeah, he is.
It's only his first year. Like, when was the last time you seen a rookie have that much confidence when they just hooping?
Never.
I was gonna say D Rose or Bron.
Or maybe Luka recently in years.
Oh yeah, Luka too. But Luka's a season. At least Luka was a season.
Right.
So is LaMelo. People keep forgetting this nigga played in Australia. So, y'all niggas sleeping on this nigga.
He did. He played it. But I'm saying Luka played professionally since he was what, like 13, 14,
yeah,
something like that.
Young boy.
Okay, yeah.
But so he was already a pro for 5 or 6 years before he even came over here. You know what I mean? That's a huge advantage.
But at that point, I still give it to LaMelo though, because he was a pro for like what 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? He had less professional experience than what's his name, than Luka. So
that's what we're saying.
Yeah, you come in and you already giving niggas buckets. You already doing you doing the little spin 3-pointers. Nah, son, he a bucket.
Bro, he remind me, bro. I just like the way the Hornets team plays, bro. They young, athletic, and confident, bro, and they
play hard.
They playing free, bro. I like it. They got a good future. MJ, we can finally give MJ some type of credit.
Props
as a GM. But that's all I got, man. Episode 55 of the Faces of the Future podcast. It's your boy Mills.
It's your boy Shane.
St. Martin Moose. You know the vibes.
Peace.